Listen closely. This book is about becoming the version of you that nobody can break. Not the reactive you, not the emotional you, not the easily discouraged you. I'm talking about the disciplined, focused, unshakable mind that stops explaining itself and starts dominating its life. A mind that doesn't respond to critics. A mind that doesn't negotiate with feelings. A mind that doesn't collapse under pressure but sharpens because of it. This is the mindset that makes you dangerous, because when chaos hits, you stay calm. When others panic, you execute. And when the world doubts you, you don't argue. You improve. Chapter 1. Stop reacting and start commanding. Most people live their entire lives in reaction mode, reacting to comments, reacting to opinions, reacting to emotions they never learned to control. And they wonder why they feel powerless. They wonder why their confidence is fragile. They wonder why one bad conversation can ruin their entire day. It's simple. Reactivity keeps you weak. Reactivity keeps you unfocused. Reactivity keeps you easily controlled by anyone who knows how to push your buttons. And here's the truth you keep avoiding. You have a choice. Every single time you feel a surge of emotion, every single time someone disrespects you, every single time someone tests you, you have a choice. React like everyone else or respond like someone in command. That's the key. See, reacting is automatic. Reacting is emotional. Reacting is what the world expects from you. But responding? Responding requires discipline. Responding requires awareness. Responding requires the strength to pause, to breathe, and to choose the version of you that is in control. And that's the version we're building in this audiobook. The version of you that commands, not collapses. Let's talk about where your power is leaking. Because it is leaking, and you already know where. Arguments, criticism, drama, the tiny triggers that steal big chunks of your energy. The tiny comments that hijack your entire mood. Someone says something disrespectful, and suddenly you're handing them the keys to your emotional state. You let them decide whether you're calm or angry, confident or insecure, stable or spinning out. But remember this, it's not about their words, it's about your discipline. Their words are noise. Your reaction is the signal. Your reaction is the truth. Your reaction is the evidence of whether you're in command of your mind or whether anyone with mouth can control your day. You don't need their permission to stay calm. You don't need their permission to rise above the nonsense. You don't need their permission to protect your peace. You have a choice. That's the key. Let me give you a simple example. Someone criticizes you online or in person, and instantly your ego jumps up ready to defend, ready to explain, ready to fight. That's the emotional you. That's the reactive you. That's the weaker version of you trying to protect itself. But the dangerous you, the disciplined you, the version of you we're building, that version pauses. That version breathes. That version asks one powerful question. Does reacting improve me or drain me? Because every reaction is a transaction. You trade your energy for absolutely nothing. You trade your peace for someone else's noise. And here's the truth. The person who triggers you controls you. And you've been controlled far too often. Your job now is simple. Create a mental pause. Yes, a pause. A moment of awareness. A moment where emotion tries to take over, but discipline steps in. In that pause, you take back your power. In that pause, you regain control. In that pause, you decide who speaks first, your reaction or your command. And the rule is clear. Command first, emotion second. Say it again. Command first, emotion second. Say it every morning. Say it every time your heart races. Say it every time you feel triggered. Because the pause is where strength is built. The pause is where emotional control is trained. The pause is where you shift from being reactive to being dangerous. Here's what the mental pause looks like in real life. Someone insults you, pause, breathe, choose the disciplined response. Someone disrespects you, pause, straighten your posture, stay calm. Someone challenges your identity, pause, remember who you are, respond with clarity, not chaos. This is strength. This is control. This is mastery. You're not shutting down emotions. You're leading them. You're not ignoring the moment. You're owning it. And the more you practice this pause, the more you become the one thing the world cannot manipulate, a person who commands their inner world. So here's the new standard for your life. You don't respond instantly. You don't get dragged into every argument. You don't defend yourself against every critic. You don't feed your energy to useless battles. Because you finally understand, reacting is what keeps you average. Commanding is what makes you powerful. You have a choice. That's the key. And when you choose command over emotion, you become untouchable. You've taken the first step. You've learned how to stop reacting. Now it's time to build the deeper discipline that will carry you through every challenge ahead. You mastered the pause. Now let's talk about the force that makes the pause possible. Chapter 2, Discipline over Emotion, Every Time. Chapter 2, Discipline over Emotion, Every Time. You've been taught to listen to your feelings. But the hard truth is this. Your feelings are the very thing holding you back. Your feelings tell you to sleep in. Your feelings tell you to quit early. Your feelings tell you to wait for motivation. And that is why so many people never reach anything close to their potential. Because feelings are inconsistent. Feelings are unpredictable. Feelings are soft. Discipline is not. Discipline is steady. Discipline is unshakable. Discipline is what separates the elite from the excuses. And here's the line you need to burn into your mind. Your feelings don't get a vote. That's the key. The people you admire, the champions, the leaders, the unstoppable, they don't move because they feel good. They move because they said they would. That's the difference. That's the separation. You have a choice. Live like most people and obey every emotion, or live like the top 1% and obey your commitments. Let's look at real life. Let's look at the moments where discipline makes or breaks a life. Take athletes. Athletes don't wait to feel like training. They train when they're sore, when they're tired, when they're frustrated. They train when it's inconvenient. They train when everyone else makes excuses. That's why they rise. That's why they win. Because they understand the truth. It's not about comfort, it's about discipline. Or look at entrepreneurs. You think entrepreneurs feel like pushing through uncertainty? You think they feel like risking everything? You think they feel like working 12-hour days when fear is screaming at them? Of course not. But they act anyway. Their discipline makes decisions their emotions are too weak to make. Their discipline leads. Their feelings follow. And parents? Parents show up even when they're exhausted. Parents work 2 jobs even when they're overwhelmed. Parents provide even when they're stressed, anxious, or stretched thin. Why? Because they know the mission matters more than the mood. Because duty overrides emotion. Because feelings don't get a vote when responsibility is on the line. This is the world you're stepping into. A world where excuses collapse and consistency wins. Now let's talk about you. Because knowing the truth means nothing if you don't apply it. You need practices. You need habits. You need rituals that shape your identity into someone who does the work no matter how they feel. Here's your first practice. Morning commitments. You start your day with discipline, not emotion. Wake up when you said you would. Do the task you promised yourself. Don't negotiate with your feelings. Don't renegotiate with your comfort. You're building a mind that moves on command, not a mind that collapses under pressure. Second practice, delayed gratification. You train yourself to hold off on the easy reward. Skip the dopamine hit. Skip the distraction. Skip the comfort. Every time you choose discipline over emotion, you're rewriting your identity. You're proving to yourself that you can be trusted. You're proving that your commitments matter. And the third practice, the 10-minute rule, when you feel like quitting, when your brain tries to bail, when your feelings start negotiating, you stay in the fight for 10 more minutes. 10 minutes of mental resistance. 10 minutes of disciplined action. 10 minutes of proving to yourself that your emotions do not control you. Because that's the moment your mind rewires. That's the moment strength is built. That's the moment amateurs quit and professionals rise. You don't need perfection. You need discipline. You don't need motivation. You need consistency. You don't need to feel powerful. You need to act powerful. Remember this. It's not about your mood. It's about your discipline. That's the key. If you want to build a mindset that makes you dangerous, this is a foundation. The ability to move without emotion. The ability to act without permission. The ability to stick to your mission, even when your feelings beg you to stop. You have a choice. Let emotions run your life, or let discipline run your destiny. And when discipline leads, everything about you becomes unbreakable. You've learned that emotion cannot lead you. Now it's time to build the identity that never folds under pressure. Chapter 3. Become unshakable, no matter the situation. Chapter 3. Pressure is your training ground. Pressure isn't the enemy. Pressure is a test. Pressure is a mirror that shows you exactly who you are without filters, excuses, or stories. You can pretend you're disciplined. You can pretend you're committed. But the moment life tightens around you, the truth comes out. That's why pressure is a gym. Pressure is the weight. Pressure is the training. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your habits. And pressure exposes those habits instantly. You have a choice. You can run from pressure or you can train with it. That's the key. Most people run. They look for comfort. They want easier tasks, simpler paths, smoother days. They confuse comfort with success. They think peace means avoiding stress. But avoiding pressure doesn't make you peaceful. It makes you weak. It makes you fragile. It makes you dependent on everything going right. You don't need their permission to stop living that way. You can step into pressure and let it build you instead of break you. Because pressure is the gym. Pressure is the weight. Pressure is the training. Look at the people you admire, the ones who perform while others collapse. They're not lucky. They're not special. They are familiar with pressure. They have trained in it. They stay in the room others run from. When discomfort hits, they don't escape. They breathe, they adapt, they endure. And that's why they become unshakable. That's the key. Unshakable people are made, not born. They're formed in the moments everyone else avoids. And you can train yourself the same way. You just have to be willing to stop hiding from intensity. You have to stop chasing the easy route. You have to stop negotiating with yourself every time things get hard. Pressure is the gym. Pressure is the weight. Pressure is the training. Say it again until it sticks. So, how do you actually do it? How do you turn pressure into muscle instead of fear? First, embrace the harder task. Every time you're given two choices, a comfortable option and a demanding one, you choose a demanding one. That's the rule. That's the discipline. It's not about convenience. It's about growth. When you choose a harder task, you tell your mind, we don't run, we face things. And your mind listens. It rewires around that identity. That's the key. Second, sit in discomfort longer than you want to. Don't tap out early. Don't bail at the first sign of anxiety, boredom, or friction. Stay. Breathe. Let the pressure press into you. Every second you stay is a second you're getting stronger. You're training your nervous system to hold more intensity. You're becoming someone who doesn't crumble. That's why pressure is a gym. Pressure is the weight. Pressure is the training. Third, look for the lesson in every stressful moment. Pressure always teaches. Always. But you have to be willing to pay attention. When you feel overwhelmed, ask, what is this trying to build in me? Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's resilience. Maybe it's focus. Maybe it's discipline. Pressure doesn't show up randomly. It shows up to sharpen something. You have a choice. Learn from it or repeat it. And here's the part most people never understand. Pressure is neutral. It's not good or bad. It's feedback. It's information. It shows you your weak points so you can strengthen them. It shows you what you avoid so you can face it. It shows you what you fear so you can master it. You don't need their permission to become stronger. You don't need approval to step into challenge. You only need the decision. That's the key. You want confidence? Train in pressure. You want discipline? Train in pressure. You want self-respect? Train in pressure. Because pressure is a gym. Pressure is a weight. Pressure is a training. Stop treating pressure like punishment. It's preparation. It's shaping you for the life you say you want. Every moment of strain is building the version of you that can handle more, do more, and become more. But only if you choose to engage with it. Only if you stop running. Only if you decide to grow instead of hide. You have a choice. And every choice is a rep. That's the key. Pressure reveals you. But more importantly, pressure remakes you. If you let it, this chapter is your reminder that strength is forged, not gifted. And your training ground is every stressful, uncomfortable moment that most people waste. You mastered facing your fear. Now it's time to understand what holds your entire life together. Chapter 4. Discipline is your true freedom. Chapter 4. Your silence is a weapon. Silence is a weakness. Silence is control. Silence is discipline. Silence is a space where power collects instead of leaking out through pointless reactions. Most people waste their strength by talking too much, explaining too much, defending too much. They drain themselves with noise. But you won't, not after this, because you're about to understand why your silence is a weapon. You have a choice. You can argue with the world, or you can improve. That's the key. Every time you open your mouth to justify yourself, you lose leverage. Every time you react to criticism, you give away power. Every time you let your emotions speak for you, you surrender control of the narrative. You don't need their permission to be quiet. You don't need validation to stay focused. Silence is the move. Silence is a shield. Silence is the weapon. Don't argue. Improve. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. Silence conserves your energy. It keeps your emotional fuel tank full. When you stay quiet, you aren't ignoring the world. You're choosing not to be ruled by it. You're choosing not to let irrelevant voices weaken your direction. You're choosing to stop leaking force through emotional outbursts or desperate explanations. And that's the key. Your strength grows when your mouth closes and your discipline opens. Because silence isn't passive. It's strategic. And here's what your critics never expect. Silence starves them. They thrive on your attention. They want your reactions, your anger, your time. They want you to argue. They want you to defend yourself. Because the moment you engage, they win. They drain your focus. They slow your progress. They pull you into battles that don't build you. But when you stop engaging, when you stop feeding them, they collapse. They shrink. They lose their influence. They go searching for someone else to drain because you're no longer a source of fuel. That's the key. Critics can't survive without your energy. And when you remove your energy, you remove their power. You have a choice. Feed them or starve them. And now we move to the real power of silence. Quiet execution. This is where transformation happens. This is where momentum builds. Your silence becomes your strategy. When you work without announcing every move, you protect your focus. You protect your progress. You protect your identity from the opinions of people who haven't earned a right to influence it. Quiet execution means keeping your goals close to your chest, not hidden out of fear, hidden out of respect. Respect for the process. Respect for the grind. Respect for the discipline required to grow without distraction. When you build in silence, you create a force that no one sees coming. That's the key. Most people talk about what they're going to do. They announce every decision. They broadcast every plan. They reveal every goal before taking a single step. And that's why they never follow through, because the talking gives them the illusion of progress. They confuse words with work. But not you. Not anymore. You don't need their permission to move in silence. You don't need applause to begin. You don't need recognition to stay on track. Quiet execution will become your new identity. Your results will be your voice. Your actions will be your argument. Your growth will be your proof. And when the results arrive, they arrive loud. They arrive undeniable. They arrive without warning. People won't understand how you became this strong, this disciplined, this unstoppable, because they never saw you building. They never witnessed the sacrifice. They never heard you complain. That's the key. True power grows where no one is watching. So here's the instruction. Stop arguing. Stop explaining. Stop announcing. Instead, improve. Execute. Protect your momentum. Your silence is a weapon. Use it with precision. Use it with purpose. Use it to conserve your strength and channel it into action. You have a choice. Let noise control you or let silence sharpen you. And remember this. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's not about attention. It's about discipline. It's not about noise. It's about results. Your silence will make you dangerous. Your silence will make you focused. Your silence will make you powerful. You mastered silence. Now it's time to become someone who cannot be moved, no matter what. Chapter 5, Becoming Unshakable. Chapter 5, Build the Identity No One Can Manipulate. A dangerous mind isn't built in public. It's built inside you, in the places no one sees, in the standards no one can touch, in the identity that doesn't bend when people approve of you and doesn't break when they don't. A dangerous mind is rooted internally, not externally. And that's the key. The moment your identity depends on praise or criticism, you become easy to control. But the moment your identity comes from within, you become untouchable. You have a choice. Build yourself on validation or build yourself on standards. One makes you fragile. One makes you unbreakable. Most people don't realize how easily manipulated they are. A compliment changes their mood. An insult changes their direction. A little approval makes them chase more. A little disapproval makes them crumble. They live at the mercy of other people's reactions. They adjust their personality to fit the room. They shape-shift to earn acceptance. They silence themselves to avoid judgment. That's not strength. That's dependency. And dependency is the enemy of a powerful mind. If others can raise or lower your self-worth with a sentence, you're not in control. They are. If they can derail your focus with a little criticism, they own you. If they can inflate your ego with praise, they steer your behavior without even trying. That's the key. Anything that controls your emotions controls your life. You don't need their permission. You need your standards. Your identity must come from something deeper than applause. Because applause fades, opinions shift, People change their minds. One day they love you, the next day they don't. If your identity is attached to that noise, you'll never feel grounded. You'll never feel stable. You'll never feel powerful. So you must attach from both sides, praise and criticism, not just the negative, the positive too. That's the part most people avoid. Because praise feels good. It strokes the ego. It feels like fuel. But it's a trap. Praise can be just as manipulative as criticism. Praise can make you complacent. Praise can make you hungry for more approval instead of hungry for more discipline. Praise can make you forget why you started. You have a choice: be fed by approval or be guided by standards. Your standards are your backbone. Your standards are your structure. Your standards are the rules you follow even when no one is watching. And the moment you build your identity on standards, not reactions, you become someone no one can manipulate. So let's talk about standards. Let's talk about the identity you build on purpose. Here's what you need: personal rules, non-negotiables, self-checks. These are the tools of an unshakable person. These are the weapons of someone who answers to themselves, not the world. Personal rule number 1. You do what you said you would do. No feelings, no excuses, no bargaining. You said you would train. You train. You said you would study. You study. You said you would improve. You improve. That's the key. Identity grows from consistency, not mood. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you become stronger. Every time you break a promise, you become weaker. Personal rule number 2, you don't respond emotionally, because emotional reactions hand over your power. You pause. You breathe. You choose your response. You take command. You remember, it's not about emotion, it's about discipline. You have a choice every moment. Personal rule number 3, you don't explain your standards to anyone. Your discipline is yours. Your goals are yours. Your boundaries are yours. You don't need permission to raise your standards. You don't need permission to protect your peace. You don't need permission to grow. That's the key. The moment you stop explaining yourself, your identity hardens. Your authority rises. You become immovable. Now, let's talk about non-negotiables. These are the anchors of your identity. They do not change. They do not bend. They do not break for convenience or comfort. Your sleep, your training, your focus time, your morning routine, your standards for how you speak to yourself, your standards for what you allow into your life. You decide them. You guard them. You live by them. And finally, the self-checks. This is where identity becomes real. At the end of every day, ask yourself, did I act according to my standards? Or did I react according to someone else's expectations? That one question will expose everything. That one question will show you where your identity is weak and where it's strong. That one question will keep you honest. Because becoming unmanipulable is not about being cold or disconnected. It's about being rooted, grounded, centered, built from the inside out. When you stand on internal standards, external forces can't move you. You have a choice: be shaped by the world or be shaped by your discipline. And when you choose discipline, something powerful happens. People stop being able to push your buttons. People stop being able to derail your focus. People stop being able to control you because there are no buttons left to push. You become someone who cannot be manipulated. You become someone who cannot be shaken. You become someone who leads themselves. And that's the ultimate transformation of this audiobook. A mind that is disciplined. A mind that is centered. A mind that cannot be moved. You built your identity. Now it's time to build your future with it. End of chapter 5. Chapter 6. Ruthless consistency beats motivation. Motivation is a great feeling, but it's unreliable. It's emotional. It's temporary. It comes and goes like weather. And if you build your life on motivation, your life will rise and fall with your moods. That's why so many people start strong and disappear. That's why they talk big but produce small. Because they're waiting to feel ready. They're waiting for inspiration. They're waiting for a spark. But here's the truth you must accept if you want to become dangerous. Motivation is a spark. Consistency is the engine. Consistency is what carries you through the days when you don't feel like showing up. Consistency is what makes you relentless. Consistency is what makes you unstoppable. Say it with me. Consistency makes you dangerous. You have a choice. Chase motivation like everyone else, or build consistency like the elite. And that's the key. Consistency turns discipline into identity. Consistency turns effort into power. Consistency turns an ordinary person into someone who can't be matched. Look at any high performer, any champion, any entrepreneur, any creator, any warrior. You'll see the same pattern. They show up whether they feel like it or not. They don't depend on inspiration. They don't wait for energy. They don't negotiate with discomfort. They move. They act. They execute. Day after day after day. Because they understand something most people never learn. The days you don't want to show up are the days that build you. That's the key. Think about it. The writer who writes only when they feel inspired stays stuck. The writer who writes every single day, even when the page feels heavy, gets sharper, clearer, faster. The athlete who trains only when they feel strong stays average. The athlete who trains on tired legs becomes a monster. The person who works only when they feel confident stays insecure. The person who works through uncertainty builds real confidence. You have a choice. Stop looking for motivation. Start looking for consistency. Now, let's ground this in real-life examples. You've seen it. You've lived it. You've watched people start something with excitement, only to abandon it when the excitement fades. They start the gym in January and quit by February. They start a business idea, but never push through the boring stages. They start working on themselves, but stop the moment it gets uncomfortable. Why? Because they rely on motivation. Motivation makes promises it never keeps. But consistency keeps every promise. Let me give you a simple truth. The gym session you do when you're tired builds more character than the session you do when you're pumped. The work you do when you're drained builds more belief than the work you do when you're excited. The progress you make when nobody sees you builds more power than the progress you make when everyone's watching. And that's where you separate yourself from the world. You become consistent, ruthlessly consistent, unemotionally consistent, because it's not about motivation. It's about discipline. It's not about the spark. It's about the engine. It's not about feeling ready. It's about choosing to move. You don't need their permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You need consistency. So let's give you the tools. Let's build your engine. Here are the habits, the micro habits that make you dangerous. Micro habit number 1, 30-minute focus blocks. No distractions, no notifications, no multitasking. Just 30 minutes of pure, concentrated execution. Do this once a day, then twice a day, and watch your output triple. This is how dangerous minds outpace everyone else. They work deeply while others drift aimlessly. Micro habit number 2, a daily silence period. 10 minutes. No noise, no scrolling, no talking. Just breathing, thinking, grounding yourself. This builds control. It builds clarity. It builds emotional command. Remember, it's not about chaos. It's about discipline. Micro habit number 3, one hard task completed before anything fun, before entertainment, before relaxation, before comfort. This trains your brain to lead with discipline, not dopamine. When you do the hard thing first, you stack wins early. You build momentum. You prove to yourself daily you are the one in control. These micro habits carve identity. These micro habits create momentum. These micro habits separate the consistent from the comfortable. Because here's the truth. Most people want success without the grind. They want growth without discomfort. They want progress without consistency. And that's why they stay stuck. You won't. Not after this chapter. Not after this truth sinks in. You have a choice. Depend on motivation like the masses, or build consistency like the few. Consistency makes you dangerous because consistency makes you predictable to yourself. You stop wondering who you'll be tomorrow. You stop guessing whether you'll keep your word. You stop breaking your own trust. When you're consistent, you become someone you can rely on. And that's power. That's leadership. That's an identity no one can manipulate. You've built consistency. Now it's time to build the final edge of a dangerous mind. Next chapter, the mindset that makes you truly unbreakable. Chapter 7. Become the person who doesn't break. Becoming unbreakable is not an accident. It's not luck. It's not something you stumble into. It's a choice, a daily choice, a repeated choice. You have a choice to become the person who bends under pressure or the person who refuses to break. And that's the key. The unbreakable mind is built intentionally through decisions most people never make, through discipline most people never practice, through standards most people never enforce. So let's bring everything together. Let's sharpen the traits you've been building in every chapter of this audiobook. Let's make them part of your identity, because an unbreakable person doesn't just use these traits. They are these traits. The first trait, emotional control. You've learned this. You've felt it. You've practiced it. Emotional control is the foundation of an unbreakable mind. You don't let every feeling dictate your next move. You don't let every trigger pull you out of alignment. You don't let moods become masters. You are in command. Not your mood, not your doubt, not your fear. That's the key. The second trait, pressure tolerance. Pressure is your training ground. Pressure is your gym. Pressure is the weight that builds your strength. You don't become unbreakable in comfort. You don't become powerful in ease. You don't become elite by avoiding difficulty. You become unbreakable by refusing to bend when it hurts most. You have a choice. Run from pressure like everyone else, or walk toward it like someone preparing for more. The third trait, quiet discipline. You're no longer trying to be loud. You're no longer chasing applause. You're no longer announcing your plans like most people do. You've learned the power of silence. Silence is a weapon. Silence starves the critics. Silence protects your energy. Silence forces you to execute instead of explain. You don't argue. You improve. That's the key. And every day you stay committed quietly, you prove something stronger than any statement you could ever speak. The fourth trait, an unshakable identity. This is the centerpiece of a dangerous mind. You don't belong to the opinions of others anymore. You don't belong to their praise or their criticism. You don't need their permission. You need your standards. You need your rules. You need your non-negotiables. When you live by your own code, nothing external can shake you. Nothing external can move you. Nothing external can break you. Because here's the truth. A person with no identity will always break. A person with no standards will always fold. A person with no discipline will always collapse. But that's not you. Not anymore. Now, let's talk about resilience. Real resilience. Not motivational fluff. Not a catchy phrase. Not a poster. Real resilience is built by endurance, not ease. Real resilience is built by choosing the harder path on purpose. Real resilience is built by staying in the discomfort longer than your old self would have tolerated. You become unbreakable by doing the thing that scares you. You become unbreakable by doing the thing you don't feel ready for. You become unbreakable by doing the thing you don't want to do. You have a choice. Do you avoid the challenge and stay soft? Or do you step into the pressure and become forged? That's the key. Now I'm going to give you the transformation blueprint, the exact sequence, the exact pattern, the exact steps that create the person who does not break. If you follow these steps relentlessly, you will notice a shift in your identity, your confidence, your presence, and your power. Step 1. Respond calmly. Never let chaos dictate your reaction. Never let emotion speak first. Never let impulse take control. Create the pause. Breathe. Think. Then act. When you respond calmly, you control the moment. When you respond calmly, you keep your power. When you respond calmly, nothing outside you can dominate your inside. Step 2. Act consistently. Consistency builds a psychology of an unbreakable person. You don't need motivation. You don't need a mood. You need a standard. Remember, consistency makes you dangerous. Every day you act with consistency, you reinforce the message. I follow through. I finish. I don't break. Step 3. Stay silent. Protect your plans. Protect your energy. Protect your focus. Stop explaining. Stop arguing. Stop seeking validation. Silence forces you to work. Silence forces you to grow. Silence forces you to depend on discipline instead of attention. You don't need their applause. You need your progress. Step 4. Detach emotionally. Not everything deserves your heart. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not everything deserves your energy. Detach from outcomes. Detach from opinions. Detach from noise. You become unbreakable by caring deeply about the right things and refusing to care about the wrong ones. Step 5. Keep moving forward. No matter what, through fear, through doubt, through exhaustion, through setbacks, through pain. Forward motion is the enemy of stagnation. Forward motion is the enemy of fear. Forward motion is the enemy of breaking. You have a choice every day to keep moving or to collapse. Choose movement. Choose momentum. Choose discipline. This is how unbreakable minds are built, brick by brick, habit by habit, moment by moment. You've learned emotional control. You've embraced pressure. You've used silence. You've built identity. You've mastered consistency. Now it's time to become the person who does not break. You forge the mindset. Now you earn the identity. Next, the final closing message. Your challenge to become truly dangerous. Closing. Now you know what makes a person dangerous. Not anger. Not noise. Not talent. It's discipline. It's silence. It's emotional control. It's the ability to stay focused when everyone else gets distracted. It's the strength to keep showing up when your feelings tell you to quit. It's the refusal to react, the refusal to break, the refusal to let the world decide who you get to be. Every chapter of this audiobook pointed to one truth. You become unstoppable the moment you stop negotiating with weakness. You have a choice every single day. Command your mind or surrender to your emotions. Build pressure tolerance. Build consistency. Build the identity that no critic, setback, or failure can touch. Now here's the challenge. Take one idea from this audiobook and execute it today. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Today. Because the sooner you act, the sooner you become the version of you that the world cannot break.